Okay, here we go. Good Thinking 28. Joining you from yet another backdrop. Just trying to change it
Slightly
up with
less
my,
Norman Rockwell.
yes. Not sure quite how we'll describe this one, but my mom's room in La Jolla, California.
It's a cute room. It's not a bad backdrop.
No, all right.
Just it's not quite as iconic. Like
Hmm.
you could have probably really branded your podcast like life from the other room. Like it was a vibe.
Yes. I feel like I kind of need to do that. Maybe dress the part a little bit more. Figure out the right glasses, all the things.
Yeah.
All
But
right,
anyway,
let's dig in.
Get in. All right. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, I mean, I'm really intrigued by the headline around retailers to study toy stores because I think like that opens up a whole fucking gate. I think just both of us having kids, we've talked about this for at least 12 years now, of just like the experiential elements, the retail elements, the merchandising elements, the bringing people in, the surprise and delight. Like there's so many parts and pieces of it. But I didn't know if there was something specifically we wanted to go in and pull apart. But I think really what I want to talk about, which I think this particular newsletter is screaming to talk about, is something we're experts on and talk quite a bit about, but really around branding. Like I think it's really interesting the Burberry and the challenge that's happening there. Your cry around Vera Bradley and
My tears. Can you feel the tears coming through?
Oh, I can. Emotionally, like I'm there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then even like Lily Pulitzer, because I'm here for
slightly better, but I have feelings. Okay. Let's maybe we'll tie it back as we come through because I actually think that the toy store thing is tied to brand, and it's like the brand, the experience is the brand. Mm-hmm. That's what I would say about each of these experiences. So in the newsletter, I'm talking specifically about Jellycat, right? Which, like, if you don't follow them, they're a plushy brand. They're based out of the UK. I don't know what's going on, why they're so popular. Like we could unpack that on another podcast. But like one thing that I think is really amazing is like, so they pop up and they actually often pop up shop and shop style. So they're not necessarily doing like freestanding retail experiences. They're shopping up inside of like a Selfridges or like a department store. Mm-hmm. But they really go for it. And like you can see in the experience of like the fish and chip one in the UK, like where she's picking like the staff person in the store, if you click on the link, she is like, she's packaging up, like she's gift wrapping, I guess, like your plushie, right? And you're buying a fish and chip plushie, which is like their whole thing of like food branded things in different locations. And she's using tongs and she's wrapping them in the paper and she's like, oh, it's hot. And she like kind of like is acting that like it's like hot to the touch. And she's like, doing a salt shaker because they have salt shaker plushies that like, they made just for this experience. And like, then she's kind of like, and it is over the top, but actually like the way she's doing it is quite subtle and like, it's performative, but it's not ridiculous. Like it's not slapstick. Mm-hmm. And they do this like at for every pop-up they do. Like in Paris, it's different and it feels like a bakery or a patisserie. And so that everything is like, like little patisseries, like in croissants and things like that. And like they go all in on like the experience of it. And to me, like, part of the plushie experience, like part of the reason to buy the plushie is to buy it in person and experience that, right? Like it's not just buying the plushie and saying you got it. I think what's also fascinating to me is that like these videos go viral constantly. And you want to go whether or not you can go to Paris, whether or not you can go to London. Totally. It doesn't matter, right? And like, it's the experience, like it's like the act of having the pop-up. But I think this is so integral to the brand. And like Camp is the same way. Like Camp has really gone in with the branded, like much more as they've evolved, gone in with the branded experiences, but they still work, like the bluey pop-ups, this pop-up, like it's always themed. They do a Nike one with the basketball, you know, like they often are working with brands to pull this off because quite frankly, it's probably too expensive to do it otherwise. But like before that, they had an experiential level where you go into the store and it feels regular, and then you push on the bookcase and like then you're in the experiential start part of the store and it feels really magical, right? And like it makes me think of Build-A-Bear, like to throw back to like who are still like alive and well. But you know, like I think like these experiences are satisfying something in consumers that you're like really not getting at retail now. Like
totally. I think that's totally true. But I think even we've talked a lot about when camp first launched. I think it's a couple of things, right? It's it's targeting both you're targeting the parent, right? Most likely the mom, but you're also targeting the kid. Like if Sailor saw that, 10 years old, like she would be there in a heartbeat. She would push for it. If she was able to have an Instagram account, that's all she would be watching. So I think you're targeting that demo really thoughtfully and really well, but you're targeting those two different things. And you're bringing in experience, like not even experiential. Like if you think about even the store, even without pushing on the magical bookshelf at camp, that store experience, the slime bar, the way that everything is so interactive and allowed to be interactive, like there is just a level of experience there that's at retail in general. Yes, I think it's totally honed in on the fact that they are at kids retailers, at kids stores, toy stores, but they don't have to be. Like FAO Schwartz, if you're going to go really back, like I'll FAO Schwartz to your Build-A-Bear, you know, like that's where experiential really started within retail environments.
Yeah. No, and I think like they're continuing on a legacy that has already existed. This is not like an invention.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, like, when you think about, like, when we went to Officine Universelle Bully, like, to me, that had the same experiential level as the toy store. And I think so few retail experiences really think through, like, how you're going to interact, how do you want to be experiencing, how will people share the experience that they're having in the store with you, which is so like integral to like, and I think that's why pop-ups do really well, right? But like you don't see a lot of brands other than like Glossier, like really like leaning into the fact that like, hey, like maybe your retail experience needs to be much more engaging, and like they're so obsessed with like, you know, like it needs to be shoppable, da 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 da. Yes, it needs to be all those things, but those don't have to be at the expense of having zero, like literally zero experience.
Totally. I think the takeaway is clearly like make your retail experience an experience. I think your example of toy stores, the pop-ups, like all this, because it's experiential, it's this, but just all it has to be is an experience. Like really think through the consumer journey and the consumer experience in the store.
Yeah, I mean, today I was reading something about like, you know, Glossier I think does this really well in their stores, like and everyone uses them as an example. But like when you go in and like they really make an experience of the New York one of the cash wrap, and like you wait for your bag and you see it coming down, and it's like a place where you get it, and like it's not a regular cash wrap, and it's like it's not it's not rocket science, like it's not that hard. They also have like in the LA store they have like, I don't know what we call it, like a marble arena, and it's for guys to sit there or parents to sit there while their kids are shopping, like, but it feels like a nice place to be. And like that is part of the experience. Like, you know that the shopper is coming in to spend time. They want to be there. They want to experience the brand. They want to go, and they want to like not feel rushed. And as somebody who lives with someone who hates shopping, actually having somewhere to place them that makes you relaxed enough to actually spend the time to do that is not a small part of my experience, because I can't experience it if he's moaning in the corner, like huffing and puffing and leaning against the wall. Like, then I'm not having fun. So like I think experience is a lot of levels, you know, but like you can be known for your experience. And to me, like that's what we know Glossier for their experience, we know Jellycat for their experience, we know Camp for their experience. Like, what do you want to be known for? Like, Nordstrom's used to be customer service, like you could always do it. Like, where do you want your experience to net out?
Yeah, and
Because
it
right now,
doesn't
I
have to be
think
rocket science and all the things. Like it doesn't need to
no,
be all the bells and whistles. So it's
it
just
doesn't
my
have
point.
to
It
be
just
all the
has to be
bells
an
and whistles.
experience.
But right now, retail is just like, I don't
Yeah,
know. It's just like it's so flat. It's so
yeah,
like it feels like most stores, quite honestly, are warehouses for online like
yeah.
shopping,
Fair enough.
and that
Fair
doesn't
enough.
feel great. Like
Yeah,
I don't want that.
right.
And actually,
All
people
right.
want to shop in store now, so that's a
Yeah,
mistake if you're
retail is
thinking that is
back.
there.
Retail is back. Put the experience back in retail experience. Be mindful of your consumer journey. I think
Yeah,
that's a really good segue into Burberry.
tell me,
Because well,
make that
I think
connection
your
for me.
insights are really good. Well, I think your insights are really good, and I think it's like it's looking at okay, they did a rebrand, new announcement of a CEO. Like they're doing these things. It feels like there should be momentum. Like okay, let's get behind. Make me want the trench. Make me want the trench in a new version, or the scarf. Like make me want something in that. And you're just like, it's not there. And I think the fact that your identification that it's who is it for and who is it really going after is like,
Right.
well, yeah, that's a
It's
great question.
it's. I
It's
mean,
the
look at
question.
that. So, like, look if you're do nothing else after this, like, go look at their social media and tell me who it's for. Like, make a comment about who you think that person is, because it's not. And I don't think that brands have to be a monolith at all. Like, I think there are like tons of little like sub communities, and like don't get on that. Like, that exists, but like, I should have an energy of like, oh, like, Am I this person?
Yeah.
I don't know who this person
Yeah.
is. Like, it's
Yeah.
neither
Or
proud
aspirational to the
British.
person.
Right. I mean, like, yeah,
Yeah.
like it's like, like who is it? Like, who am
Right.
I aspiring to be in this moment? Because like you can't tell.
Right. That's a good gauge though. Any brand you should be able to like we all have, I think, a diverse enough set of people that we know, friends, colleagues, people we grew up with, family, whatever it is, to be like, oh, this is a brand for blah blah blah. Even if we're not personally interested, we should be able to identify. Like
You want to be
I
able to
see it.
send it to the person that you know would love it, right?
Yeah.
Like Emilien Doré, to give another like big example, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like you always knew who that like. I think they're losing it a little bit, but like we can talk about that next week because I have some feelings on some stuff. But like like I think you always know who they're for, right? Like these brands, like. And I think this is why, and this will be in the next newsletter too. Like, there's a lot of small collaborations happening right now, and I think part of it is signaling. They're trying to signal like we're for you with
Right.
working with some of these
Yes.
smaller
Oh,
brands.
for sure. That's the reason. A big part of collaborative.
Right. But like when you do them really diverse, and you're trying to pull in like lots and lots of different ones. But like right now, Burberry, like who is this for? Like I
Yeah.
just can't
Yeah.
tell. And I like the rebrand.
Yeah.
It's
It's.
not
I mean,
bad.
it's tastefully done. It's all tastefully done. I think that's the point. Yeah. Okay. All right. Move on. I know this is a big one for you, and I know like you've been talking about this for a minute, like before they did all of this, the opportunity there.
Yeah, very badly.
Vera Bradley. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have had this brand on my radar because I actually have been doing like a few things prior to this rebrand that I was like, oh, this is cool. And they kind of having a moment, like sometimes on TikTok, like during like, I think it was back to school. They had a bag that was doing well. Like they're not irrelevant, right?
Right.
And so like you have a little bit of relevancy, like a little bubble under the surface of the water.
Yeah.
It's coming up. And then you do this. Oh my God, it was like I felt like I got stabbed in the heart. Like it was so upsetting. The logo's upsetting, the tagline's upsetting, or whatever that description is that they're using. And
Inspiring
then,
the joyful dance through life with equal parts grace and grit. Show me the grit from this brand.
oh my God. But also like who like did ChatGPT write this? Like what happened?
Oh, we've got that's got to be a completely different topic, but like the headlines and the store windows that ChatGPT is writing right now is like not
It's
not
really bad.
separate
And
combo.
like, yeah, separate convo. And like Zoe Deschanel, like I like her. She's cute.
Yeah,
She's a
cool.
vibe.
Yeah.
And she definitely fits with the brand. But she does nothing to like move the brand one way or another. Like it's like you took safe and you like I don't know, you took the dial to 100 and told like the people, like if you go in the comment section, the people that are loyalists are pissed. They're like,
Yeah.
why are you trying to go after a young, like, first of all, they think it's for a younger consumer. Like, why are you going after a younger consumer? Then the younger consumers are not going to look at this and think that it is for them. So, like, you have problems on two fronts.
Totally. But this is a great example. And you could hear the conversations internally saying, like, oh, well, we don't want to upset our current customer because we want them to do. And that's when, unfortunately, a lot of brands play it safe and don't pivot enough because they're so concerned with removing their current customer. And then these guys are going in the opposite direction of completely. I think that the issue is they're leaving the equity in the product and in the brand that they had, and which they should actually be building on in this rebrand versus leaving it to go in kind of this newer, cooler, younger vibe.
If they had done a campaign that took all of the original, like, people who loved this brand and showed them as the cool, fucking amazingly, like, aspirational women that they are, because we know that they are, it would have been iconic.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. I mean, like, literally tears on the keyboard as I was like, like, what happened?
Yeah. All right. Lily Pulitzer? I mean,
so
similar, similar space.
I mean, 2 floral heavy brands in 1 week. I mean, like,
But like, I do feel like those brands are like, okay, we could be, we've seen the trend reports. We could be hip and cool with this next gen. We need to do something.
And Lily Pulitzer, like, for sure hired some iconic, like, amazing designers to help work on it. Row & Co was part of it. Pentagram was part of it. And there was another strategist group that is also part of it. All women. And, like, I think it was more successful, like, but for sure, like, Barbie on the mood board much. I mean, like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But okay, on the nose, a little like late to that party if you're gonna, like, really go for the Barbie moment. But, like, to me, like, what really fell flat is that they did this cool, like, cool quote unquote logo, like, change, and then the art direction is like, like, does not deliver on this new vision. Like, what is the new vision other than the logo and a great, like, cool repeating logo that they changed the iconic L of the logo for? So, like, that did not happen by accident. That famous loopy L that they had, they removed it, they lopped off the loop, and they made it so that they could do a nice repeat. Great. Make it worth it. Do something. Could have been better. But I do like the look of the brand is fine. I just think that the art direction could be more iconic, cooler, greater.
Fair enough.
Casting, styling, the whole bit.
Yeah. It's all in the subtleties, I think, and how you execution. Yeah. But interesting brand to watch, and I'm here for the Moke collab for sure.
I mean, how cute was that?
It's adorable.
That was prior to the rebrand, but still.
Yeah. But I mean, Moke's kill, like, that's a brand we should talk about, because those are, seeing in random vacation places, which is exactly where they should be with these rad designer.
Yeah. And that's definitely what Lily Pulitzer is leaning into. They're leaning into vacation wear sets. Is that Poppy?
Yeah.
Hi, Poppy.
Yeah. Cutest dog.
You want to be on the podcast?
Come on, stop barking. Yeah, Poppy's got a lot of thoughts. I mean, should we hit on in this, I guess, similar world, limited to?
But before we move on, what would be your takeaway here? Like, if you were going through this, like, these are really pretty, like, iconic brands, and these are not small undertakings. So, like, if you're a big brand going through a big rebrand, like, you gave it to us with the "Don't be safe" with Vera Bradley, but like, what's
Yeah.
your takeaway? Like, what's the takeaway you want to
Well, I
get?
think it's with each of these, right? I think it's about figuring out what they're building from. Like, what are you actually building from? Like, everybody in every rebrand ever, the conversation at the executive level is like, well, we don't want to run away from our current client, but we also, it's a yes and, but we also know that we need to move the brand forward. So I think really making sure to do that. And I think like your idea for Vera Bradley was great. Like, I do think building off of really understanding and pulling out those assets to really say, okay, it's the pattern, is it the silhouette? Like, what are the values and um, the aspects of the brand that we really want, and the heritage pieces that we're taking from? Okay, and then how are we taking these and not directly interpreting them as you would have previously, but how are we taking these and now interpreting them for a newer audience, next gen, and in a different way, but still building off of those values.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I think to me, like they've definitely leaned into like the motherhood aspect of the brand for Lily Pulitzer. Like, it's like their sets and like little matching sets for every kid. Like that seems to be the focus, right? Like, if you look at all the photography and everything. And to
Yeah.
me, like, what is so missing there is a relevant way to portray motherhood, because like to me, like, that moment that you put on that little outfit is an amazing moment that lasts about 5 minutes before you're both dirty, you're laughing, somebody's got stains, you've had to change the pants, and there could be this really beautiful, cool way of like tapping into the people use, like, like the way that the product is really used, I guess, is
Yeah,
could be
I
really
do
cool.
think. Yeah, I mean, and just like looking at their Instagram, I don't think any of it feels different. I don't think you're registering the rebrand in any of this imagery. And I do think
No.
there's opportunity through kind of the art direction. Like, what's that? Whatever old school like beach series that's being run right now. Like, there's a lot of those kind of like, I don't know if it was like 20s, I think, kind of era of like the beach club and kind of these kind of iconic
Mm-hmm.
elements that have kind of this very quintessential art direction. I'm not suggesting doing it that way in a vintage way, but take that and kind of interpret it today. Is it kind of pickleball? Is it like, what are the parts and pieces that you could register and that you could do that? I think having some vulnerability within motherhood, which is clearly like a huge part of this brand, the mother daughter dressing, but figuring out what that is to make it feel like it's a little bit different and
Yeah,
have
I
more
don't even know if it's.
personality in it.
I don't even know if it has to be vulnerable. Like, when you put on those like mother daughter like duo things, like they're a little bit like armor going into like whatever event you're going into, right? Like, we're going in, we're the family that's got it together, and like it's cool. Like, it could be like cool and like this moment that like feels like a little tongue in cheek, but also like iconic in the way that you're talking about. Like, I think of that like Billy ad when they did the shaving of the toes and the shaving of the armpits, like that
Mm.
they, and they were showing it, and it felt like it was like these are very everyday sort of moments, and it's like, mom, like, scoop kid up, like hold kid on the side, and like continue down like the wedding, like, like aisle, if that's what you're wearing your outfit for, like, is could be done in this like really cool like this brand is for real moms who are really put together, and
Mm-hmm.
like real moms
Mm-hmm.
like put together is a facade.
Right. Well, that's, I
But
think, where the vulnerability comes in, and you can
like
decide as
could
a
be
brand if
also
you want to show it or
empowering.
not.
Facade
Totally.
facade can be
There's
empowering, like not just like not
Yeah.
just vulnerable, but it could be empowering.
Totally, totally. So I think it's within that, right, is really honing into who your customer is and really going like, okay, I understand this woman. And I think, as we talk a lot about, like, it's not just digging in from like a demo standpoint. Okay, they make this much money. Okay, they live in these areas, but it's really like, I think you said this, like, what is the rabbit hole that at 2 a.m. on Instagram when they can't sleep, they're going down. Like, what are they really to really get in their head? So I think it's really understanding the customer, really who they're going after. And I think they did, like, they checked the boxes of like, okay, logo design, okay, this and that, but they didn't take it through again, like the consumer journey of like, well, what's going to be the imagery and what's going to be the art direction behind that, and what's, you know, going to be the Instagram feed, and what's kind of the social strategy within that to bring whatever started this rebrand, to bring that all the way through to the brand, not just like kind of the designer elements.
Totally.
All right, we're at 25 minutes. I mean, I can't not mention an eighth of suitcases are filled with supplements. I feel so seen
like
and heard. I feel so seen and heard. I feel like I need to take a minute and like, you know, yes.
I mean, you know that when I wrote, I've seen this firsthand, I was writing about you, right? Like, you're the first person that came to mind, though. But you're not the only one that came to mind. Like, for sure, like,
just saying,
you are the one that I think, like, if there's a spectrum, like, you are at the peak of the spectrum.
This is also what my therapist says, just to be clear. My therapist says the same thing. So that's great.
Right.
Reinforced.
So, but like, I think like it's so fascinating to think about that, and how there's like this cultural thing happening, and yet like, yeah, like, you know, there are some cool like $90 like cool metal like supplement cases that you can get that don't work and too heavy.
They're too heavy. I've tried it.
Right. We don't need to add more weight to our suitcase, but like, you know, like how cool would it be? You know, like everybody's into packing cubes, like, you know, like it's like there could be so much more done with this from a travel perspective. Like there could also be like a very funny, like, you know, like if you're a hotel, like it's like, hey, think about the fact that when Kirsten comes to your hotel, literally the countertop is like 98% supplements. Like, what would be a cool thing to do there? Like, maybe there's a cool shelf that you could install that would, and like, you know, like these are moments people are making content, like not Kirsten, but like people are making content all the time in your hotels. Like, there's just a lot of legs to this observation. Like, it's not a, like, you know, a rocket science observation, but it could extend into a product for a suitcase brand. It could extend into funny, like, information for a campaign and social content. It could extend into experiences. It could extend into having, like, if you're at a, like a hotel, like, I would love to see the stores be stocking supplements. Like,
yeah. Like I forgot my probiotic. Like, oh, fuck.
Cool, but like cool, like Air One level, like, oh yeah, like these guys get it. Like that's what people are packing and that's what they're bringing. Maybe great supplements for like dry skin or, you know, dehydration or, you know, whatever. Like, you know,
yep.
Get on it.
Here for it. 100% here for it.
So many opportunities, tiny little observations, I guess. So I'll say.
It's a big observation. Somebody needs to move on it. We're here for it.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, just make some swag, like a supplement case that doesn't open in someone's suitcase. You'll be famous.
Right, and isn't heavy as fuck and looks cool.
And looks good. To open. Yeah. Because that's where the gap is. It's the looks good, actually has enough space in it, because supplements are oddly large. They're not like regular vitamins.
They're large. No, they are large. And you know, I bought the cool one on Instagram, that cool metal one, and I was stoked on it.
Oh, I almost bought it for you for Christmas, and then you were like, I already had it, and I was like, of course you did, and you hated it. But like, none of them, like, so then you go on Amazon and they're like, they're shitty and they don't really lock, and they say they lock, and those locks break after like 1 millimeter of time in your suitcase. Like, this is solvable, guys. Like, yep. Let's do it.
I can't wait. I'm here for it. All right. We did it under 30. It was great. See you next time.